Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 28th, 2019. Markets just closed here. SPY is going to close 0.38%. Qs up 0.23. We're getting an inside day here on the daily on the Qs and SPY. Okay. Noticing that the SPY showing a little bit of relative strength to the Qs. A little bit different than the rally that we got where the Qs were leading the way. So a little bit of sector rotation perhaps. Okay, but we'll keep that in mind as we look at the charts here. Now, I wanted to focus on the Qs here, but you could draw the same thing on either chart here, on the Qs or SPY. And that is that we're getting this price compression here. Okay, so it's a little bit different than what we've been getting, which is lower highs and lower lows. Now we actually got a higher low after this morning's sell-off got bought. Okay, so coming into today and for the last few days, we've said short the rallies, short the rallies, and short the rallies. And then today, notice the sell-off couldn't get back to the lows. So a little bit less weakness, less follow-through on the selling than what we'd seen the last few days. So noticing that in the way that it formed in this higher low is telling us that we are actually setting up for the next move, that we are kind of compressing, that we've gotten a little bit more range bound and we're consolidating. Would that be higher or lower? That's what today's bar will give us, that kind of information. So over today's high, next buy setup or breakout, playable long, and then underneath today's low can expect a retest of yesterday's low, and then underneath yesterday's low will give us the confirmation that the hourly downtrend will continue. Okay, so notice how also that we had this declining 20 MA and the 20 MA is really starting to flatten out, and it's even more so on the SPY. SPY spent some time below, now back above, right, opened above. So going back and forth, that's one way to flatten out the 20 MA. So on the SPY, again, you can see here, we were getting lower highs, but now we're actually getting higher lows. And so we are compressing to set up the next move, okay? And so it's gonna be the same thing. Over today's high on the SPY, next buy setup or breakout, we will resume a bullish bias, and then resume the bearish bias underneath today's low, knowing that support is going to be around 277.90. And then the break of this double bottom here will resume the downtrend, will confirm the downtrend. Okay, so a little bit less straightforward than what we had the last couple days because the follow through in the sell-off, you notice, was a lot weaker today. Okay, so by doing so, that puts in the higher low. And so it's all the same kind of just price, reading what price is doing. You know, we're getting this compression here on the daily as well. So, you know, if we were to go with the larger time frame and just guess like prematurely what the market was going to do, it looks higher. But we have the kind of clear if then statement. If it takes out today's high, next buy setup or breakout, that will be kind of our cue to go. And then if we break underneath today's low and then yesterday's low, right, then all those, the sell setups that follow those are our short opportunities. So, you know, I think just the larger time frames still look higher. We never went bearish on the largest time frame. We just shifted to a neutral bias, right, over the last few days. Still at the neutral bias, really giving these inside bars, these range bound days don't really give us that much additional information. But based on what we're getting on the hourly here, it's telling us that the market is setting up for the next move. We're getting this price compression. Tomorrow, you know, it could be even another inside day or just poke above or below and then come back into the range. We don't know that the next move has to be tomorrow. We just know that the market is narrowing and setting up for the next move, okay? So unlike the last few days, which have been, all right, let's short the rallies. We're coming from a breakout failure. right? Sell setups are shortable. Well, today's sell setup, we saw didn't get as much follow through, not able to retest the low, so the downtrend is starting to weaken. Okay, so we were in a downtrend starting to weaken. We're starting to shift to more of a sideways consolidation. So that's telling us that we are setting up for the next move. Okay, and so we have our line in the sand where we will initiate our bias. All right, and that goes for the Qs and the SPY. All right, so not a lot I thought today. The gaps list was pretty weak. I did like the Nielsen a lot, and it did take a few tries here to get going on this Nielsen, because the initial low of the day breaks would not go, and then finally we got this follow through at the end. So you know, I didn't think it was the easiest of days, but I think there were some nice moves here. TREX may be kind of the best that I saw as far as instant follow through, painless follow through on this breakout. Market had been weak all morning. This was basing more to the middle of the range after recovering from yesterday's gap down, but ended up being a little bit too spready. So I said I'll let that one go, but I know some people played the idea in the room, so that was pretty painless. I would say also watch the NLSN for tomorrow to see if we get some follow through. ACIA is another one I'll be carrying over into tomorrow. I had a call on this, but the call didn't trigger because it took out the stop. But I wanted to see it break over 65. Never broke over and then came in instead. I thought the relative strength was impressive. It had a gap down, and then the gap down actually got bought, and now it's back over the resistance. So I thought, well, that's pretty unique, something different. So I'll carry that over into tomorrow. And it's just that time of year where we want to have more things to carry over because there's just less things reporting earnings, putting out, you know, significant news. So, you know, we'll have a few more things to watch going into tomorrow for decent patterns if we carry them over. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's market wrap. We'll be back tomorrow to close out the week. Hope you did well today. If not, we'll be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. All right, have a good evening.